Good morning, social friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's live stream of Real Living in Chicagoland. Let me add my co-host Rick into today's conversation. Here we go, Rick.
Bill, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Happy November 6th.
Yeah, I know. Hard to believe we got some radio stations are starting their Christmas music playing. Not a big fan of that. I love to just take one holiday at a time rather than rush through all of them at one time.
Yeah, well, maybe next month we can get some Christmas jingles going for the intro music. I'll have a tree behind me.
Yeah. So how was your recent 4 weeks since our last live stream episode?
Not too bad. Pretty busy. For a fall market. Not crazy or insane, but staying busy with some new listings, helping some buyers, gonna get a few things under contract, and kind of moving things along before we hit the holiday season.
Yeah. So, any spooky stories from your Halloween trick-or-treating?
No, I haven't had any recent spooky stories. May I share one spooky story that happened a couple of years ago?
Sure, go for
it. So I went to go see a few houses up in like Des Plaines, Niles area with this family. They were looking to move, and it was I believe this one was in Niles. I remember like being near a golf course or something, and I met them at the property. I was there a few minutes earlier, getting all the lights on and stuff. And I had gone down to the basement before they had a chance to. They were still on the first floor. And I don't know if this ever happened to you when you were a kid, but like when you're in the dark basement or going through a dark stairway, you kind of feel like somebody's going to grab your foot.
Right.
Well, I had a very strong feeling like that. So even as an adult, I'm like trying to hurry up the stairs and stay cool. And then we were on different floors. I was on the second floor where they went downstairs and stuff. And when I came down, the wife was in the living room just waiting for me, and the husband and his son were out there by the car. And she said, "This isn't the place for us." And I said, "Oh, why? Give me some feedback." So it was my first time out with them. And she said that oh, this might sound crazy, but my husband and his son, because it was a blended family, it wasn't her biological son, her stepson. He said they see things, like paranormal things, and they were in the basement. They saw she told me exactly like a lot of like ghouls and goblins and stuff. And I said, well, that's very interesting, because I had a kind of a bad feeling when I was down there. So it was kind of an odd coincidence, if we should say.
Wow.
But, probably my spookiest real estate story.
That is spooky. I think I would have had the same reaction as you if I felt something tugging on your leg or whatever. Yeah. Scary. Do you know if that property ever closed and sold?
No, that was actually a rental. I'm sure it did, but or they were using it for Poltergeist 4 or something.
for a film, right? Okay, all right. Well, let's now move the conversation to real estate stuff. Talk to us. You hinted at it over the past 4 weeks. You've been busy with some new listings, some buyers. Talk to us about what has changed, if anything, over the past, let's say, few months.
When we talk about the market, especially when people hear the news or watch the news, they tend to listen to national statistics. So the markets can be very different, even within a big city like Chicago, right? Or even a smaller town or village. You're on one side of the tracks or the other, right?
Right.
Market's going to move differently. So it's hard to tell people, hey, things are up, things are down. I would say overall, single family homes, those are moving a little slower, especially in higher priced homes. And it all comes down to affordability. So we're still seeing in the attached market, condos, townhomes, still seeing plenty of activity there. So under contract, I think was up last week across Chicago, but inventory is still low, which
is
keep things moving. So if you got a listing, doesn't mean you're gonna. Some listings are selling very quickly. I've presented some offers that were multiple bid situations, and unfortunately, we don't win out. Some sellers are living in the past, so we present an offer, and it's still sitting on the market. So we'll see if they come back to us, or closer to the holidays, the New Year, or after the New Year. We'll see if it's still on the market, if they want to consider our offer. And my clients typically don't lowball, but reasonable offers. Just again, some sellers aren't always in a reasonable mindset as far as the price that they have in their mind. But yeah, I mean the market's active. A lot of buyers out there. We've been doing open houses. Plenty of buyers. My wife and I were at one in Southport corridor here in the Lakeview neighborhood last week, and even at a higher price point, we probably had like close to 20 parties come through. Some neighbors, just looking around casually, and others who are actively looking. As long as the right one comes along, then they're ready to go.
Right.
Otherwise, they're just looking and looking. So a lot of patient buyers. I think part of the reason is that buyers, love it or hate it. There's plenty of data out there and plenty of information, so buyers can make a lot more informed decisions when it comes to the numbers. And they can, when they're shopping around, they can kind of compare. Hey, if this is at this point, your price point, what has sold in that price point to, kind of keep some sellers in check in a sense. So.
Sure.
But yeah, it's things are stabilizing, right? In life, everything balances out. We may not like where we end up on the teeter-totter, but it all balances out.
True. So while you say inventory is still tight, is there more properties, maybe a slow trickle coming onto the market for sale though?
I would say new properties, that's kind of the trend I've seen in the last couple of years. Because I mean, there's when you look at MLS data, it's tricky because it can be tricky because there's a lot of listings that listing agents will cancel the listing and put it back on.
That's right.
Or the deal falls through and they put it back on as new, so it's showing up as new inventory. There's kind of an asterisk to it, but there's like new, brand new inventory that I would say tends to be a little less. Yeah. That's why people flock to it, whether it sells right away or not. Yeah. Especially the first week, if not 2 weeks, you're bound to get a ton of listings. And I think that's where sellers really need to, not saying that if you don't sell in the first 2 weeks, it's not going to sell, or you're going to, slash the price or anything like that. But get as many showings as you can, so you can get as much feedback as you can, so you can adjust as quickly as you can. If you can let it sit there for months and months and months until you get the price you want, then let it sit there. But I think the market is much better overall. It kind of provides a healthier ecosystem if people are putting things on the market at a fair price, so that things can move. Because there's a lot of buyers out there who'd like to be in a new home. So I don't think it's fair to just put something on the market, kind of have a feeling that it's going to be stale, after a few months.
Yeah, I hear you. In the spirit of talking about new homes, let's pivot the conversation to your new home. Share with me and your audience, my audience, your new work home. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so our office hasn't changed, at least for the time being. We're still on Damon here, just off of Addison in Roscoe Village, which is part of the North Center area. We are now in Central 21 Circle, and if I can put in a lame joke, my career's gone full circle, because I started off with Central 21 years ago when I first got my license. It was no longer around, but Central 21 Driscoll over on Southport Avenue. So it's I've been approached by different brokerages over the years, ever since we opened, but we had a good meeting, which actually started back in June, so a little less than 5 months ago, and started with a text message and a phone call and a couple of meetings, and here we are. But it felt like it was the right move, a good place for us to move our team. And I think it's going to be a great transition. My wife and I own the company. My dad, I mean, we truly are a family-owned business. So we're moving our team over to Century 21 Circle, and I think we'll have a much better support structure in place to serve our clients and new agents that we bring in.
Was that the compelling reason for the change? More support, better support from a bigger national brand? Is that the reason?
It was definitely one of the reasons. I mean, there's other reasons, even personal reasons, that made sense for us. Some of the markets that we are either in or trying to tap into, a lot of clients tend to appreciate, if not recognize, a larger brand.
Sure.
So no disrespect to anyone, but I think that a lot of people, in theory, love small businesses and want to support small businesses. Sadly, for many reasons, small businesses don't always last a long time. So, I mean, we were doing well. 2023 was like the only year, like a lot of real estate companies, that had a worse year than the year before. Other than that, we weren't the top in the market, but we've been growing since we first opened in late 2016. But having a brand name, it ultimately comes down to, we want to be able to serve more people, and to serve more people, we need more support. You need deeper pockets, and that with deeper pockets comes more tools and resources and technology. And in order to serve more clients, it's not something that we can do just a 3-person operation. So we got a good team behind us.
Yeah, absolutely, completely understand that. Evolving, growing is all about making changes at the right time. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And your team, the Batista Group, now with and powered by Century 21 Circle. So on the same topic, talking about real estate, sellers and buyers, let me bring up a couple of visual aids, Rick, and I want to get your feedback to it. Here we go. Are you surprised by this infographic that is highlighting the profile of a home seller? There's parts of it where I'm not surprised by it, but I wanted to get your feedback.
Well, not to go in any particular order, but one of the things when we're talking with prospective clients, being close to family and friends seems to definitely be, if not the top reason, one of the top reasons. And the saying, "It takes a village," really is true.
Yeah.
So being around family, friends, especially if your family's growing, it's a lot easier to have. Whether it's grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, all that around to kind of help out with the family.
Yeah.
11 years before selling, I would say a lot of people are staying in their homes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Than before.
I thought that number was kind of on the under. I would have thought it was going to be maybe like 15 plus years. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, 11 years at the was that average or median?
I guess this is average or median. Yeah, you're right. So,
64 median age. That is kind of surprising, but
really
not necessarily, because again, like we just touched on it, people are moving into their homes right before they start a family, and not everybody has kids, but there are a lot of sellers out there who have families. And they're staying put until the kids graduate from college or even high school.
Right.
And I think that kind of falls in line with that. Purchased a bigger home, that not surprising.
Really?
I mean, sellers are. So this is profile of home seller. They purchased a bigger home, so they sold to buy a bigger home.
Yeah. So 1 out of 3 bought a bigger home, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's more likely people who are in, a condo, a townhouse, a smaller home, and now they have more needs.
Correct. So trading up. Let's now look at the first time buyer. Take a look at this. OMG. the median age has pushed to the big 40 compared to, I think, about a year ago. I'm not surprised by that number.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think it's an unfortunate number. And I have to say, median can be misleading in a sense. Sometimes if we don't see like all the numbers, but if we're looking at that and just saying, hey, if we're kind of equating it to the average age being 40, then I think that speaks a lot to housing affordability challenges and the economy and just kind of the systems that are in place for folks, especially coming out of college and stuff like that. That number should be less, in my opinion.
What doesn't also surprise me is how that demographic segment of single women buyers are more than double that of single men. You and I can certainly joke about the obvious reasons, but that doesn't surprise me. Does it you?
It doesn't surprise me, and I'm proud to know and to see that it's 25% as single women. I think, not to put down single men at all, but I think that it provides a goal for single men to get that number up, not necessarily surpass women, but it would be nice if it was kind of even.
I hear you. Let's now look at the repeat buyer, right? What I am surprised by here is how the median age has pushed past 60. I would have thought it might have been like, I don't know, 50, low 50, but I guess there's a domino effect here, right? First-time buyers coming on to the market later. If that's the case, your repeat buyer has something to sell to the first-time buyer so that they can make that necessary move.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I can, I try and see all sides of the chessboard, and we've read plenty of articles and seen data and reports. People are not buying early enough in their life. I'm not saying that's good or bad. Everybody has their own journey in life. But I do believe a lot of it has to do with housing affordability challenges, and that's with policies and stuff in place. So if somebody's not buying in their 20s or 30s, then if their first time buying is at 40, then they might stay put for the next 22 years and not be selling again until 62. So
absolutely,
a lot of reasons and stories behind that, and I think that just goes to it. Those numbers are a reflection of what's been going on in the country for some time, not just the last few years, not just the last few terms, but it's been going on for some time. The American dream is becoming less and less attainable for people, and that when it comes to the haves and have-nots, that's probably the biggest sign. What side of the coin you're on is whether or not you own real estate.
Yeah, absolutely. Social friends, as we wrap up today's live stream in this episode of Real Living in Chicago, regardless of the new home that the Batista Group is now associated with, you can still engage him, Rick and his team, for a consultation, a conversation to help you get to your next chapter. How can you do that? Real simple. Simply scan the QR code that you see next to Rick's headshot, and along the way, should you need financing, whether you are buying your first home, whether you are buying your next home, or you're downsizing and you need to find a way to carve out that equity and turn it into cash so that you can make your cash purchase offer, scan the QR code next to my headshot. Together, we will absolutely work through some next steps with you to help you get to your next chapter. Music Posse, play us out.